All right, guys. So we need to talk about a topic that is very, very common. That is when you're putting up the work, you want to get a job as an environment artist, a 3D artist, whatever is it that job that you want to land in a studio. A lot of people have troubles with this, and it is really, it is really hard sometimes. So we have this person here that shared his work, and he was looking for some critiques. So he said, I'm an environment artist and I'm having no luck finding even small indie jobs. So it's not even AAA studios, just small indie jobs. Is my portfolio bad? So I have done some small freelance gigs, you know, but the products are barely worth putting up on my portfolio. Is there anything should change about what I'm doing? Any critique is welcome. So why I chose this topic, and let's take a look at his work. You have this piece here. I really like it. Let's take a look at the other one. So this is another shot. This one is also not that bad, to be honest. Not that bad. This one I wouldn't put there. I feel that the other two are better. And this one, it's not that bad, but I still prefer the other two somehow. So I want to talk about this because the first answer, it's I have mixed feelings about this one, and it's the most upvoted answer. So, hey man, I'm a senior environment artist at the studio, and I have been in many interviews and resume portfolio reviews as recent as November. So there are two things going on right now. During COVID, a lot of companies hire way more devs than the games could support. That is true. Games as a service was doing awesome during COVID, but once it ended, the industry revenue saw a dramatic decrease. That is also true. Combined with all the lackluster games release, we're seeing a lot of layoffs and oversaturation in the market. Also true. 3D art has always been competitive, but how competitive waxes and wanes. Right now is going to be a very difficult time to find a job as a junior. However, don't give up hope. I see the potential. If I were you, I'd remove all the projects except for the first three. Your first two are the best, but the third one shows you've worked on a team before, so that's good. That's good stuff. Breakdowns, you need to add a lot of breakdowns. That's also true. A lot of people that got hired within the last 5 years were hired in that hiring frenzy, so quality varies significantly. So if you have breakdowns, that's better. When I was reviewing portfolios, if there wasn't a breakdown or in any of their pieces, I will hit next. That's also true. I'm gonna talk about this later. Finally, find out your identity. You say you want to get into photogrammetry, but your first two pieces are stylized buildings. So you want a portfolio that is completely stylized or completely realistic. That's also true. You need to specialize. You rarely get a job if you have both. Also, while photogrammetry is used, it depends on the studio. Yada yada. Very valid points here. I agree with everything that Rodson said here, but I feel like we're touching the topic in a way that it's the industry, right? The industry is it's going down, and yes, it's going down, but overall, it's still a very big industry. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry. There's plenty of jobs to be filled, and I want to talk about why this guy is having such a hard time finding a job. Because at first glance, this looks good. I mean, to be honest, this is not bad work at all. This is not bad at all. This is good as well, but there's a but here, and that is, yes, while getting a job in the industry is very hard, your work needs to be outstanding. And while his work is good, it's good. I will say it's above average. I think way above average. It's not outstanding. It's not like bananas, And I want to share a story how I got my first job at Ubisoft. I was grinding. I was kind of like in a very similar level as this guy. It was like 2018, and I keep grinding and grinding, and I was having like the same question, like, what exactly is the problem? Like, it's my work that bad because I don't feel it's bad? And this is the worst spot. Like, you feel like your work is good, but somehow you're not getting any opportunity, so you just don't know what's going on. So it's like, first you suck, then you become kind of average, and then you kind of like become good, you know but between becoming good and becoming uh, outstanding, it's quite of like, it's not like a lot of work, but it's a big difference. It's kind of like the last 20% if the is the like the 80% of the effort. 20% of the effort is 80% of the quality, right? So what will happen is that after grinding a lot, there was a significant change in my work, and it came from not having any kind of viewers to whatever, into massively get a lot of traffic, a lot of shares, likes, uh, you know magazine, uh, y- you know magazine post, things like that. And obviously there was a lot of opportunity after that. So eventually you just need one piece, like one single piece, where you can actually break through the industry. Now, it's true that the industry is going down and everything, but you still need to push a little bit more. You come this far, you need to push more. So I have some images here. I want to show you what I mean when you actually need your work outstanding. And you will think about, why do I need to have an outstanding craft when I'm just going for a junior position? I'm just going for a junior position. I don't need to be the best. That's why I'm going there. I'm gonna learn, and then I'm gonna become better. While it's true you're gonna become better at the job, it's also true that the people who are hiring, they are already looking for someone who has the skill set. He has the skill set, and also having like they don't want to train anyone. They are as good as the people that are already working there. So his problem was, I cannot get a job as a junior. And I will say, does the junior actually does like this job? No, the junior is actually very, very good. Actually, when I got my job at Ubisoft, I entered like as an environment artist, but not really as junior. It was kind of like in between, like junior and senior. So I got in with as a level artist title, an environment artist. What you will see there is that the junior have the same amount of technical skill level as you. It is the same. Even sometimes it's better. So what exactly is the difference? So the difference is, you actually can make some decisions. Like the junior environment artist will just, give me a list. I will just, um, I will just do whatever the list says. I will do it good. And whenever there is work to be done, just let me know and I will do it. I will only do what you tell me to do, and I will not decide anything by myself. I will only follow your pipeline. I will only follow your to-do list, and I will do my best to just keep grinding over and over again until I finish my task. Obviously, a senior and anyone above the junior has the experience, and also can decide for himself, like, okay, this is what needs to be done. I'm gonna do it, and he does it. So even though you're looking for a junior position, you're not really. Don't get yourself fooled. This is common misconception in the industry where, oh, I'm a junior, so my work needs to be just good enough. It's not. Your work needs to be outstanding. And yes, there are some cases where you know someone in the company and you know you have some referrals and they may give you a chance. Overall, like, you want to put your best work out there. So how you do that? Well, you go from good to outstanding. And how do we do that? We do that with art fundamentals. So you can clearly see, especially these two pieces, this one especially, there's clearly some fundamentals applied, you know, but it's not there yet. So let's have a look at the first picture. So the first picture, you have, first rule of art fundamentals, you need to have a foreground, a background, and a middle ground. So if you do have something, like for example, you have something here, like a rock or something, you can actually have a nice foreground. And you also need a background. Something. You don't need a lot, like some mountains here that you can see. You know, so far it looks very flat. And we need those principles. And we need to show those principles in our 3D piece. Because when you do the game, you're going to apply those principles over and over and over again. So that's one thing. That's a very easy one. Another one, and I don't know if you can see this, but there is a very straight line here. Very straight line. And how that happens is because your meshes are very low poly and it creates a silhouette. Everything in art are silhouettes. So if you have this and you go for, you know, this a silhouette like this is not very interesting. Whereas if you had like the bricks will go like this, then suddenly you will have a different silhouette. It will become better. The same can happen here. The same will happen in pretty much every straight line. We don't want any straight line in our in our composition. So these to me on a AAA studio standard will be like 50% done, and the rest will be like polishing and all that stuff. So what it lacks is texturing, colors, more. I don't see much color contrast here, more saturated areas, less saturated areas, some contrast between these wood planks that are kind of reddish. Maybe you have some moss here that happened from the sea, and also some painting here, like the bricks are a little bit wet, so they are darker in color. This will actually add more color variation. The wood planks, they also are like the same color. You need to add some light wood planks, some darker wood planks. Same here, very, very flat. You need to add more variation and also more saturated colors, like in this area, for example, or this area. You need to apply more color theory into your scene if you wanted to make it look better. So detailing, color, color harmony, and obviously like just a simple fix like a foreground, a middle ground, which is the main piece, and a background can be a mountain, whatever. It will just work just fine, right? So you can see that every piece here, like especially this one, it's not like what the final product of the studio wants. It's 50% there. So what I will recommend, I don't know if he's gonna watch this, but what I will recommend is to actually keep working on this piece. Let's push it a little bit further. 1 month more working on it to take it to the next level, applying those fundamentals that I just told you, like color theory, foreground, middle ground, background, more detail to fix the silhouette. Straight lines, we don't want those very often. They look very CG. And obviously the styling texture looks like, it's very, very evident. Overall, it's a good piece, but it needs a little bit of a punch. uh, so I won't get into detail with all those. I feel like this one I wouldn't put. I feel like these two are better. Even this one looks like you work in a team or something. It's a very strange angle to showcase your work. You may want to find an angle that actually has like some nice composition into it. I like this one because the composition is unlike the last one. You do have a foreground, which is the tree here, and it's creating a really nice silhouette. And you do have the middle ground, and you could say you have the background, some clouds and whatnot. Overall, I think this is fine. It's not really that bad, but how can you apply more fundamentals? Well, you have a lot of greens here. You have a lot of greens. And obviously, those greens are blending with the reddish brick. Green and red, they are, complementary colors. So what do you need here? Maybe a couple of red flowers here to balance things out. That could add a lot of touch. And at the same time, here you can add some moss. Some moss that happen. You can always add some greenish. You don't need to be full green, but some kind of tint with green, so you can transition between this subject and this subject, which is the ground. Also the grass variation, maybe some of them bigger, some of them smaller, and more color variation. Very subtle, very, very subtle. In terms of composition, I'm not a super big fan of this one here. I will move it around. It's blocking my view, my composition, so I'm viewing here, and here I'm going back. You can try to place it in another place, but this one is pretty much messing up with this main subject here. Not so bad, to be honest, not so bad. Lighting is not so bad. It has some good lit areas, some shadows, and you actually have some lamps happening here. So overall, I think it's good. I don't think it's that bad. I will move. If you really want to have this, like this piece, you can just move it here, for example, just so that you can have a blocker, saying like you having here. So all your frame, let's focus on here, and the rest you don't need much detail. You can even move the camera a little bit up, because this is occupying quite a lot of space probably, but it doesn't look bad, to be honest. It doesn't look bad. Overall, I see the same mistake I see from the last piece, like the straight lines from these bricks. We don't want any straight line. We want details coming from here and here and here. That's some advanced modeling techniques that you can use to make this happen, and this will actually add a lot. Obviously, you don't need to do it in extreme. Some parts like this, for example, I know some parts is more straight, because nothing is fully straight in real life. Even architecture is not perfectly straight. So, and as artists, you also need to decide for yourself, like, what do I want to make with this, and what kind of silhouette do I want to make, and what kind of shapes I want to work with. So overall, if you notice, it's really not, it's not really like big things that you need to change. It's just the small little things that will help you push further. And I'm sure a lot of people are in the same position as this person, where your work is kind of good, but you're not getting any work, any freelance, and you just need to push a little bit further. Like, take a step back, probably learn some art fundamentals, drawing, painting. I highly recommend that. Step back so we can push a little bit further later with our new knowledge, and we can see all those mistakes that I just point out, because that's the hard part. So overall, this is true. Like, yes, the industry has gone down quite a bit, but in general, there's still lots of opening, lots of opportunities, and there's work available for anyone who can show they have good skills. So remember, if you want to break into the industry, you don't need to be average. You need to be outstanding. And in order to do that, you need to put a lot of effort and a lot of work. So that's it, guys. If you like this type of videos, just let me know in the comments. I plan to do a bunch of those, share my points on different discussions that are happening on the game industry, and give you my advice. So hopefully you like those. And if you do, don't forget to subscribe, give a like, follow, and we'll see you in the next one.